Okay, in the last video we looked at how we can set up and configure aCheck. We created a schema, and this video we're going to take some information from Airtable, and I'm just going to demonstrate how you can use Make to generate QR codes with aCheck. So let's just have a look at the data we have here. So again, this is based on the COVID documents we're going to create, and so we have COVID test related information. This could be any kind of document you have and any kind of data, and we'll have schemas for different types of documents. So we're going to focus on this one today. So we have this barcode number. This is just a unique identifier. Could be ticket number, any unique identifier. So we have this. We have the name of the person, their email address, date of birth, passport, flight information, and lots of other bits and pieces. What we're going to do is generate a QR code and store the information in the record within inside Airtable. So to do that, we're going to use Make, and we're going to send information to Make by just ticking one of these boxes. So we have a view here in Airtable. When the box is ticked, it drops into this view, and then we're going to use Make to send the information to aCheck, generate the QR code, and then attach the QR code. So let's just jump over to Make, and we can start to configure the automation. Okay, so we're now in Make, and we've created a scenario, and the first thing we have in here is our trigger. It's going to watch records in Airtable, and it's going to trigger when a record goes into the view we specified. So if we just have a quick look at the configuration of this, we're connecting to the base. We just saw COVID test as the table, and we are looking in the view send to aCheck. So when anything goes in there, we're going to send to aCheck. So to do that, we need to send the information in JSON format. So we're just going to click on here, and we're going to create some JSON. So we're just going to create JSON template for this schema. So if I just click add here, we're going to call this aCheck. What we're going to do, rather than type it all out, we're going to choose generate, and we're just going to add the code in here. So we could add this. We'll have this in our documentation. But basically it will just make it easier for you to create the JSON we need. So all it's going to do is just create the format that we want it in. So we're going to ask for the API key, we're going to ask for the schema ID, and then we're going to ask for the 5 fields that you've specified in the schema we saw in the first video. So let's just save that then, and we can click here, and these are the values that we're looking to populate now. So first of all, we need our API key, we'll need our schema ID, and then we're going to populate with the 5 fields that we have. So we have the information from Airtable, so this is the record that we're getting the information from. Here's the data. So all we can do now, all we need to do now, is just map these fields. So the first one we just want in the name, and then we want the email address, the third field. So what we're doing now, we're just mapping. If we just go back to our home here and we look at the schema for this particular document. So this is the one here. If we look, we can just see the fields that we need to populate. So we want name, email address, passport, date of birth, and vaccination status. And date of birth, and then vaccination. So were they vaccinated? Yes, in this instance. So we have that in here. Now we just need the schema ID. So if we go back up the top, we can copy the schema ID for this particular document. And then we need the API key. So if we go over to config, we can just copy the API key we have here, and we're just going to paste that into here as well. So that's it. We have everything to create the JSON. We just click OK now. So now we just need the HTTP module to make the request. So we're just going to search for that in here, and we just want to make a request. So this is just for the authentication and to pass the JSON that we just created. So the URL, we need is this one. So this is our endpoint. We're going to post. So we just change this to post. And we're going to add the header. So although we have the API key in the body, we also need it here as well in the authorization, in the header. So we're just going to copy this information across here. So we have the API key, and then the body type, we're just going to use raw JSON. And the content is going to be the information here. And we're going to pass a response just to make it easy to read. And we're just going to click OK on that. So what we should be able to do now, we should be able to send that information if we just get the email address. So the email address is this one here, and we're going to send that across. So if we just click run on here now, let's have a look at that. So the data success, and so we was able to create a QR code. So if we jump over to aCheck now, we should go to our QR codes, and we should be able to see the top record relates to the one we just created. So let's just have a quick look at that. So there we go, we have the name, the email address, passport, date of birth and vaccination status. So everything in there is what we need. We'll just do one thing and we'll make that date look good. Sorry, the date of birth, if we just jump in here. So let's just modify that, format that date. So we're just going to choose this format for the date, and we'll just run that again. So let's get that record. And let's run this one more time. Okay, all looks good. If we just go over to aCheck again and refresh. And we click on this one here, the top record. We should see that same information with a nicely formatted date of birth. There we go. Okay, so that's the process. If we just go back and have a look, so we've taken some information, Airtable in this instance, this could be from your system. We just created the JSON, the formatting of the JSON, and then we've just authenticated with HTTP module, and then we've passed the JSON and got the information back. If we look at the information we get back, so we can see the response here, we're going to get all the records that we passed. We're going to get the logo, the URL. So if we just click on this URL here, let's go to this, we should see the same information. Yeah, there we go, so it's the same information. So we're getting everything we sent back, and we're getting the additional information, the ID, the URL to the logo, and the URL to the verification page as well. And we'll also, if we look here, we'll get the QR code. So in the next video, we're going to look at how we can take that information that we send back, and then we can create a document with that information. So I hope that was clear, and thank you for listening, and see you in the next video.